Okay, call this meeting to order with a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, Mrs. Franks.
Mayor Kindle.
Present.
Councilwoman Costantino. Present. Councilman Jenny is absent. Councilwoman LaPratte.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Here.
Councilwoman Williams.
Present.
Councilman Toussaint.
Present.
Acting City Manager Szymanski.
Here.
City Attorney DeWally.
Here.
All right, I need a motion to excuse Councilman Jennings.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the motion.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I need a motion for the approval of minutes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the motion to accept, receive, and file the regular city council meeting held on April 17th, 2023, to receive and file the library board meeting held March 16th, the beautification commission meeting held March 20th, the charter review subcommittee meeting held April 20th, the cannabis subcommittee meeting held April 20th, the planning commission meeting held April 26th, and the cannabis subcommittee meeting held April 27th. Support.
Any discussion? Is there any discussion?
Yes. On the reimbursement for travel for mayor,
What?
where is that? Oh, that's an agenda. Okay, thank you.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, public comment on agenda items. I need anyone that wants to say something about what's on the agenda, not any other problems. If there's no one present. All right, we'll move on to consent agenda, and I need a resolution.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
make a resolution to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 6.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I have a couple questions concerning the check register. And so I'm going to go through these questions one page at a time. On the first page of the check register, MML Capital Conference lodging. I was just curious as to whether this covered everyone's lodging, in which case that's a real deal, or whether this was how this broke out. In other words,
I can answer it quickly. It was just mine,
Okay.
because I did not want, I like to request a check for the lodging, so I don't have to get reimbursed.
okay. And so I presume that over the course of the next several minutes or whatever, we're going to be seeing additional lodging requests coming through.
You will see requests for those who put in for their reimbursement, and it will total their mileage or food or whatever they did. Yeah.
Oh, it won't. Okay. On page 2, there are 2 questions. The first has to do with check number 127271, Class A Training Center LLC counseling session. Is this training for some of our people, or is this like a personnel kind of issue thing?
That's for the district court, for their people.
Okay, so they've gotten training and they're...
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's cool. Check number 127279, DTE Energy, street lights and traffic signals. I assume that is more than just one day of street lighting, but it mentions March 23rd. So is that, oh,
Yeah.
thank you, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, very good. I do want to mention that because of all of the changes that the city had made, I remember when DTE's monthly outgo for us was over $100,000. And so to see a third of that by, the actions that have taken place, bravo. The next page, page 3, there is 127293, Internal Revenue Service. It says penalty and fine, taxes due, penalty, fine. And so I just wanted to find out what that was
Okay.
about.
That was caused by a DTE outage. We had a electronic fund transfer to the IRS. Our systems went down, and by the time they got back up, we were late, and the IRS, there's no forgiveness on that. I did take it out of DTE's escrow.
Okay.
Okay, so none of the general fund monies were expended.
All right, thank you. And then just out of curiosity, there are just 2 more questions. 127300, is Lingo a translation service? No? I see that it's phone service, and we have a couple of different phone services that we're paying out to. But when it was called Lingo, I just thought maybe it was a translation service. No?
You want the treasurer to speak?
Yeah.
That's the police department's phone system.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
And
pro-
then,
they provide our service.
all right, because I noticed that we have like at least 3 or possibly 4 different phone services that we're using.
Yep, we do,
Okay, and they're
for various
selected.
locations.
Okay, and I assume that they're like the lowest possible service that we could get for
Yes.
that location. Okay, thank you. And then the last page, finally, sorry, page 4. I noticed 127327, 15 50-pound bags of Field Dry. And I know we used to use Field Dry when we had baseball diamonds and that kind of thing to dry out. But I didn't think we were doing that these days. And so I was just kind of curious as to how we use these bags of Field Dry.
Yeah, that's the parks, and they're using them for the same purpose. I mean, it puddles up when it rains like this.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not necessarily drying out diamonds, it's just...
No,
throughout
it's
the
pretty
parks?
sloppy, I mean, because of the street construction and everything else that's going on.
All right, thank you so much for your answers.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
number 6, payment to CBIZ benefits and insurance services for $13,020 should not be on the consent agenda at all. It is not a regular monthly payment. It is over the limit of what's supposed to be on there. And it really needs to be a new business item. I don't see a report in here as to what the findings were for the actuarial services, nothing. And it dates all the way back to December.
Okay.
So, I think we
Do
should
you,
remove it
will
from
you
the
let the,
consent agenda.
no, let the acting city manager respond to your question?
I can explain what that's for. We had to get a brand-new OPEB evaluation just to close out the audit that's required by the state. And what has happened is it has, because of the new valuation, it has dropped the city's legacy costs by $10 million. We received a $1 million credit on the water fund alone, which you're going to see, I want to say, in the upcoming financial statements. This is required by the state.
Okay, it's all good and everything, but it
Yes.
still needs to be new business.
No, it doesn't. He knows what he, as the financial director, he knows where he needs to place it, where he needs to place
We have a limit on
it.
what we can place on consent agenda.
But he knows what he needs to do, Cheryl. All
And
right.
we already got the report, and it's in the auditor's hands. They're using it. They're making their footnotes from that.
Could we
Is-
please have a copy of it?
Sure.
Is there any other further discussion? Okay, can I have a roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Councilwoman Costantino.
No.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Do not. Okay, that brings us to old business. Since we have no old business, we'll move on to new business, city manager report.
Okay, item G1, public hearing, 19.5 mill levy to defray the cost to continue the maintenance of police and fire protection. Mayor and council, as scheduled, we will hold a public hearing on Monday night to allow property owners an opportunity to review the monetary impact of the 19.5 mill assessment and also to receive additional public comment and input. For this portion of the agenda, only the standard motions of opening and closing the public hearing will be required, and we also have copies of everybody's, I want to say, tax bill sitting on the table if residents want to take a look and gauge the impact. So, Mayor, a motion is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the motion to open the public hearing on the levy of 19.5 mil assessment to defray the cost to continue the maintenance of police and fire protection.
Support.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
one quick question, does this change the number of mills, or is this the same as people have been paying?
This, we started out with 20, we're down to 19 and a half.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry, so the 19 and a half is this year, but it was 20 and 20 something last year.
Yeah, 20 was,
We dropped it
yeah,
last year too.
we dropped it a quarter mil, and hopefully everything is our taxable valuation is gonna go up because of changes in the community, and that mill should be adjusted downward, and that's what we're doing here.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
how is that going to be offset by the 5% tax increase on the existing residents? I know the new residents are uncapped, but
There will be, I want to say, Headley rollbacks on lots of our millages. I'm expecting one for the general fund, I'm expecting one for the refuse, for the library. We'll see, you know, what those numbers look like when the figures are released.
Is there any further discussion? Anybody from the public, if you'd like to speak, come up to the microphone. All right. Seeing none, I need a motion to close the
Madam
public.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'll offer the motion to close the public hearing.
support.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item G2, levy of the 19.5 mil assessment. Mayor and council, with the public hearing now having been held, it is recommended that the attached resolutions be adopted to direct the assessor to spread the assessment levy on the taxable value of all lands and premises within the municipal boundaries of the city of Harper Woods to defray the cost to continue maintenance and operation of police and fire, 9.75 mils for police, 9.75 mils for fire. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Williams?
All for the resolution. It's by resolution to direct the city assessor to spread the assessment levy of 19.5 mils on the taxable value of all lands and premises within the municipal boundaries of the city of Harper Woods to defray the cost to continue maintenance and operations of police and fire, 9.7 mils for police and 9.7 for fire.
Support.
Any discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I don't think it matters, but I think it should reflect 9.75, right, instead, for both, as opposed to 9.7.
That's, you're absolutely correct. This is a typo here. Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, is there any further discussion? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Councilwoman LaPrat,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Tucson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay. Item G3, resolution to submit plan Clean Water SRF revolving loan project. Mayor and council, attached is correspondence from our city engineers regarding the next step of this project that you have approved at your last meeting. We are now required to adopt the attached resolution formally, approving the project and confirming that we provided the necessary public comment period and that all comments were considered and addressed. I have reviewed this and concur with the attached resolution be adopted so we can move forward with the Clean Water SRF revolving loan project. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
a resolution to designate the acting city manager as the authorized project representative on the Clean Water State Revolving Fund Loan Project Plan, and further to adopt the attached resolution adopting a final project planning document for wastewater system improvements and designating an authorized project representative.
Support.
Discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
In the documents that we received along with this material, I was a little alarmed by the fact that it needed to be submitted no later than today for consideration.
It's in.
Okay, I just wanted to make certain because it seems awfully short. So thank you, as long as we've got that.
Well, actually, it was really short, and when we got it, this is what I brought back from Washington, D.C. And it was on a short string when I got the information from Senator Gary Peters. So I'm glad that we were able to get this in.
Yeah, and I do understand that if we don't make it this funding year, we may make it next funding year. But I sure would like to see the money sooner rather than later.
Yes,
Thank you.
me too. All right, is there any further discussion?
Well, I have a question here. This issue I wanted to bring up, it seemed like it should have been on approval of the minutes about the approval of the reimbursement for your travel. And I don't see it anywhere on this agenda, and I want to figure out where am I going to be able to discuss this and say I don't approve of it, I want it changed.
What are you talking about?
Well, there's the approval of reimbursement for your expenses to Washington DC.
That was last.
That was last meeting.
That,
In the minutes,
In the
it
minutes, it
said
says wrong.
that everyone approved it.
Oh, so, no,
There
you
was a
two,
correction to the minutes, but someone had said, had told Councilmember Ivory that it was later in the agenda, but it's not.
right, this is not this up here, it's not in the agenda, period. And I was trying to bring it up when the part of the print of the minutes that is incorrect. I did not approve of that, and neither did Councilwoman Constantino.
Okay.
And I want it in the record that I didn't approve of that kind of behavior, and I want to make sure it's posted, and I want to know
What
when I
do you-
can find it
what-
posted correctly.
wait just a moment.
I didn't, the minutes were not reflective that there were 2 dissenting votes. That's my mistake. I will make sure that it is fixed. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
And when can I see it posted correctly? Because I don't want my name associated with that kind of behavior that I approve.
What kind of behavior are you talking about?
Approval of the reimbursement for your travel to Washington
Oh.
DC. I made a big speech about it last week while I didn't approve of it, and it says right in here that I approved it, and it says that Shorter Cheryl Constantino approved of it, and it's not correct.
Okay, well then, we will make a correction, she will make a correction in the minutes that will reflect your dissent and Councilwoman Constantino's dissent.
Okay, just let me know when it's posted on the web, so I can
Well,
see
she'll
it.
let you know.
Thank
Reasons
you.
why.
It'll be on the
That's why I was trying
website
to say
when
no
she
to approval of the
reposts
minutes,
it.
but y'all want to shut me up on it, and I didn't appreciate that.
I'm just going to make this clear.
Okay. All right, so can we move on? Because that discussion had nothing to do with the item that was in front of us right
But
now.
when it had something to do with it in the beginning, you wouldn't let me bring it up.
I didn't stop you from bringing it up.
Okay, Councilwoman Sawicki was saying, no, 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 no.
Okay.
What's wrong?
Which,
That was a different issue I was.
are we gonna continue this with this?
No, we can move on. I just want to make sure it's on the record, and I want everybody in the audience to hear my protest against it. That's all. We can go on.
Okay, let us move on. So we need a roll call vote now, Mrs. Frank?
Yes.
Okay,
Councilwoman LaPrat,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes,
Mayor Kindle,
yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, item G4, Memorandum of Understanding, Job Classifications, Technical Professional Office Workers, Michigan, TPOM, and Department of Public Works. I have included a separate memorandum with the new classifications that are created in DPW, and they're attached for your reading. And I want to say, Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
By resolution to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Harper Woods and the Technical and Professional Office Workers of Michigan, TPOAM, DPW unit that outlines the new job classification for Public Works employees, and further authorize the mayor and acting city manager to sign the agreement.
Support.
Any discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
A quick question. I noticed that, trying to see what page this is, page 64 of our minutes, which is P3 job classification description in attachment C. Let me see. There on our, it's page 4 of this document. One employee is mentioned by name for this position, and I assume that that person is the only eligible employee?
Yes,
Okay,
Willie Anderson.
thank you. It's kind of unusual to see someone named in a document like this, that's why I thought I should ask. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
yes, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, why was it necessary for the maintenance worker job to be split into 3 different classifications?
Because we were, prior to this, there was a lot of, I want to say, institutional knowledge that was not spread properly through the department. It was essentially kept in the head of the former superintendent of DPW. So in splitting this into 3 different job classifications, employees can clearly see what's expected, and it goes from more of a seniority base to a merit base, and it also requires water licenses to be part of the classifications. And right now, the city is paying outside engineers to hold water certifications for the city when we have the ability of doing that all in-house.
Is there any further?
Yes, just to piggyback on what you just said. The water license, so in order for the person to go from one level to the next, they have to have the water certification, right?
Okay, what happens is P1 is entry-level classification. After 1 year, they automatically get promoted to a P2. As a P2, they have 24 months to get their certifications and their water license. If they fail to do so, they go back down to the classification that they are qualified for, and they can try again. This gives them a strong incentive to keep their skills current.
time ago, I used to work for the water department, and we had to get licenses in order to go out and do stuff.
That's exactly what we're doing here.
So these licenses will still be through the state, or?
Yeah, there are going to be certifications. We're going to make sure that everybody is qualified there. This is a big system. It's an old system. It's got a lot of unique little quirks, and they have to understand how water systems work. It's very important. And we're paying an outside firm for that service.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay. Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, item G5, collective bargaining agreement, Fraternal Order of Police. Mayor and council, attached is the memorandum of understanding between the City of Harper Woods and the Fraternal Order of Police, FOP, patrol officers, detectives, and dispatchers unit. This agreement maintains the cost containment features for pension and OPEB, other post-employment benefits, that has enabled our city to remain fiscally sound today and avoid bankruptcy. This agreement also provides for wage increases consistent with other police unions across the state and will help make our city police department more appealing to potential applicants. The agreement was ratified unanimously by its union membership. It is recommended that this agreement be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the resolution to approve the memorandum of understanding for the new collective bargaining agreement between the City of Harper Woods and the Fraternal Order of Police, FOP, patrol officers, dispatchers, and detectives unit, covering the period of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2025, and further authorize the mayor and city manager to sign the agreement.
Support.
Support. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I assume that's why we're seeing so many police officers at the back.
And I'm supporting.
Absolutely.
I was kind of hoping that was a positive thing back there.
Yes, it's not the fact that, you know, we get the director, but to have the rest of you guys there is just a wonderful sight, and it's not adversarial. So I appreciate that very much.
Intimidating, maybe.
Yes,
Madam
yes,
Mayor?
yes.
Well, I'm glad to see they're getting a bump or a wage increase. So often you see when everybody across the board gets the same percentage. The rich get richer, the higher ups get a lot more because that same, 3% or 4% is a greater increase for them. And the ones at the bottom, often the 3 or 4% is a much smaller increase. So to see our officers and dispatchers and detectives getting a good increase this year, it makes me happy. And I'm glad that our salaries will be competitive with other cities, because we like to keep them here.
Is there any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Tucson.
Support.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies,
Thank you.
for all your support and the help that you do for our community. I really, truly appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Before they leave, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Okay. I was gonna save it to the end, but most of you might be gone by then.
Right.
Yeah, but I really want to thank the police department. Their services sometimes is very prompt. I think it was Sergeant Pauly that came out to my house, knocked on my door at 4 o'clock in the morning to tell me someone was still in my car. And so. Just officer. Okay, Officer Pauly. So I really did appreciate that, because from what my neighbor was telling me, because she called it in. And so my neighbor was telling me that they were in my car, broke the window, and broke part of the gear shift, and they were getting ready to take off with my vehicle. But the police came out very promptly, and my husband and I, we were asleep, so we would never have known the difference until the
Wow.
morning. So I really do appreciate the services that the police department does, and the promptness that, you know, that you did what you did. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
And I don't know which officer, did we find out, Director, the officer that chimed in with the book club that was on Huntington?
Mike Pena is Mike.
I got a really glowing report from a citizen resident because the police officer stopped and brought gifts and dolls and treats for a book club of young African American women, young ladies, and they were meeting in the street on Huntington, right there, Beaconsfield, by the where the repairs are. And he stopped and went back and came back with dolls and gifts and treats and gave it to the kids, and they were thrilled to death. And so was the neighbor that watched this happen, and also the person that does this weekly book club for these girls, these young ladies, who also happens to be a resident of Harper Woods, but she's a former police officer from Detroit. And the policeman that came was also a former Detroit police officer. So it's just kindred spirits, and that's just the kind of spirit that we have going on in Harper Woods, and I think it needs to always be recognized. We just haven't figured out because the person, you know, just felt like he was doing his job, but it was above and beyond his job, and it's so wonderful that we have that kind of community policing that makes a difference in our community. So thank you, and whoever it is, pat him on the back for us. Thank you very much, everybody. Now, you guys don't have to stay. We understand. Okay. All right. And Mr. Wilson,
Yeah, he does.
he'll know to slide out. Okay.
Item G6, employment contract, Superintendent of Public Works. Mayor and council, presented before you is the employment agreement between the City of Harper Woods and Heather Touton. I am requesting approval to promote her from Deputy Director to Director of the Department of Public Works. I have attached the job description for this position and listed her new tentative salary in the employment agreement. All her benefits will remain the same except for the salary. Ms. Touton has done an outstanding job since the passing of former Superintendent Bill Snyder and has heightened morale within the department while keeping current with the demands of the city. It is my recommendation that her employment contract be approved with an effective date of the next pay period following your approval. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
my resolution, approve the employment agreement between the City of Harper Woods and Heather Touton for the position of Director of Public Works, effective the next pay period following council approval, and further to authorize the mayor and acting city manager to sign the agreement.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yes. Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I know we brought it to the attention, there was a little correction there on her salary, which was said it was in parentheses. So I hope it's in parentheses versus what was mentioned, and that correction has been noted. I just want to make sure we verbally said that we would make that correction.
Yes, we discussed that. Yes, it has been noted and corrected by the Mrs. Franks. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I just had a quick question. Earlier, we were talking about the water licenses. So Heather, do you have her licenses ready?
I am taking the S4 and the S3 test on Wednesday, so I should have the first two levels. And then I'll go, hopefully in November to take the S2.
Thank you.
All right.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I do want to mention that every time I've ever had a question that needed to be answered, Heather has stepped up and made me feel very comfortable with this appointment. I think that she'll be an outstanding superintendent.
All right. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I do like having a female for a DPW superintendent. I think we can,
That's,
she can blaze the trail for all the other cities.
that's a bit biased, but okay.
That is a bit biased.
It's totally biased.
If we said a male, then everybody would be
But
upset.
if you look at the time when Vivian and I first got on the council,
Yeah.
and this was such a male-dominated city, that, I think everybody but Leslie was male, and she was kind of new at the time. It's kinda
Is there any
nice.
further discussion? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes?
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino,
Yes,
Councilwoman LaPrat,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, item G7, Milk River Operation and Maintenance. Mayor and council, attached is an invoice from Wayne County for operation and maintenance of the Milk River Drain for the period April through June 2023. This is in accordance with the budget amount set by the Drainage District. It is recommended that this payment be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the resolution to approve payment to Wayne County in the amount of $353,263.50 for the operation and maintenance of the Milk River Drain.
Support.
Discussion?
No one wants to do it.
That's right. No. Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino,
yes,
Councilwoman LaPrat,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson. Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, item G8, resolution, gun violence awareness. Mayor and council, a resolution in support of declaring the first Friday in June to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day is attached for your consideration. June 2nd, 2023 will be recognized as a day to honor all affected by gun violence and to encourage the community to wear orange in support of this resolution. Wear Orange Day has been recognized by cities, businesses, sports teams, and national organizations. It is recommended that this be adopted to show our support. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'll offer the resolution. A resolution to adopt the resolution in support of declaring the first Friday in June, June 2nd, 2023, to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day.
Support.
Any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I think it's so important for our city to do this. I wish we could do more than this. But I did look up some facts on gun violence, and over the past 7 years in our country, there have been over 60,000 willful, malicious, or accidental gun violent deaths, not including mass shootings. There have been roughly 150,000 suicides by gun. And just those numbers alone make what our state has done important, where they're requiring people to lock up their weapons or to lock their ammunition separate from the gun itself. I wish that we could impress on people how important it is to be aware of their weapons and make it less possible for people with violent tendencies to get a hold of a weapon like that. It's scary just to look at what's happened in our own city over the past 3 years.
Yes.
and the number of people who have been killed in our own community by gun violence. I just wanted to support the Awareness Day to see if we could do more than just putting it on paper.
Well, we can also make sure that we contact our legislators and our governor and our congresspeople to just understand what we feel. As I said before, a pen and paper is one of the best ways of communicating with your elected officials so they know that what matters to you, they know what matters. And us being silent does not help us.
Perhaps on this day, on June 2nd, perhaps we could have some sort of a rally witnessing,
Okay? We might do that.
yeah, that, because I think that just even supporting those in our community who have experienced the horror of gun violence or taken steps to prevent that from happening. I think that we could do that.
You know, Councilwoman LaPratt is the one who brought this to my attention. And I am so grateful and thankful that you brought this to us.
Madam Mayor, can I explain what We're Orange Day, how it started? Back in 2013, a young girl, she was 15, Hydea Pendleton, was with some friends in a park in Chicago, and she was shot in the back. And her friends and family decided that we needed to bring some support for this. So they asked everyone to start wearing orange, and because orange is what hunters wear for their own safety and for the safety of others. On June 2nd, 2015, it was expanded to National Gun Violence Day. And it's gone forward since then as the first Friday in June, and expanded through the weekend. And there's some movements throughout our area, throughout the state, throughout the nation. And what we'd like is everybody wear orange, light up your houses orange, bring awareness. No one's taking away anybody's guns, but let's cure them, and so these kids stop being killed. I know most people have probably had some amount of exposure. You know, I was one of those people that got that call that my son was locked down at college, along with my niece, in 2018 at Central. And whenever you hear this, it will never get better. You remember that day and how you felt, and for these people from MSU and at every school and every situation, it doesn't get better. And we want to just bring awareness.
All right, thank you. Oh, I thank you so much for bringing it to our
Madam
attention.
Mayor, it seems like it's more about, like, it's got, you know, your highest responsibility, and it's all about you signing it. Why can't we have this be from the whole city council, rather than just from the mayor? Because I mean, many of us are affected by this. One of my fabulous tenants went to a nightclub in Detroit and got shot in a drive-by shooting, and now she's paralyzed. She's a paraplegic the rest of her life because of this. And, I mean, it says good stuff in it. For example, I mean, both sides can support this, whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people with dangerous histories. I mean, that just makes sense. And I think it affects everybody. I think it should be from the entire council. It might even carry more weight being from the entire council.
Well, we were following the examples of the other cities, so that's why it was wrote up in that fashion. And because at the time,
I don't understand why we
wait,
have to do
if
this
you
with
let
the
me
union.
finish, Councilwoman, it was reason that we brought it to the table as it was because it was done other cities did it the same way with the mayor being the spokesperson for the city. So, as some of you don't respond to emails and stuff, we just wanted to make sure it was on the agenda for today.
Madam
Is there
Chair,
any further discussion?
Is it possible for us to just have this redone with the mayor and city council? I mean, you know, I don't think it's too late to do that.
I agree.
What do you,
I'll put it on the website without the last paragraph if you want.
okay.
I mean, however you want, it's fine by me. Or
It-
Okay, we will,
Therefore resolve that Mayor
is,
Valerie Kindle and the, absolutely, and the.
yeah, and city council. Okay.
No problem.
Also, in
Oh.
paragraph 3, it says.
Excuse me, I did not recognize you. Is there anyone else that has any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
I would also like to point out in paragraph 3, it says it's mayor's highest responsibility. We could change that to mayor and council's highest responsibility, as well as the final approval.
All right, is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Councilwoman Costantino,
Are we voting on it as this is or with?
We've
adding
already
the
discussed that it will be corrections made to it. So you either
I'm
vote
just-
on the resolution or you don't.
I'm confirming it, Madam Mayor. With the corrections, yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki,
Yes.
Councilman Toussaint,
With the corrections, yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
With the corrections, yes.
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
resolution passes.
Mayor, that concludes the city manager's reports.
All right. Call the audience. Anyone that has anything to say, please come up and identify. Okay.
I wanted to give you guys something, if that's okay.
Is the microphone there? Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to, so you guys could follow me as I was speaking. Am
Okay.
I allowed to approach? I don't know.
Yeah, you
I
can.
don't know your,
Start
Your
there.
name for the record?
my name's Beverly Perry.
This is the house.
Okay. The reason why I graced you guys with my presence this evening is because my son purchased a home here the end of March of this year. He's been in that home approximately 4 nights. The first night he spent in his home is when we discovered all of these things that were supposed to be covered by the inspection were not. If the inspectors had just turned on water, as you can see, the water just backed up. With the first picture, second picture, as we plunged it, it was construction debris that came out of all of his pipes. But the main thing is that we decided to have the kitchen redone because I was quite concerned that there was a incline, like they had put some vinyl floor over other flooring. The fourth day that he was there, if you look at the third page, we discovered black mold. This owner intentionally, and it was intentional, covered up black mold in this home that my son had just purchased. Had I not, as a gift to him, moving in, wanted to redo his kitchen, my son would have been ill within 3 months. Now, I bring this to your attention because with your building department, There were inspections made. There's nothing, when we requested the report, there's nothing on here that states that they went back to make certain that these things were taken care of, and I can attest that they were not taken care of. As late as Saturday, if you look at the final page, we found where they put all debris in his vents as they were just full of debris. And so I'm trying to figure out, you're paying a company to do your inspections here in the city of Harper Woods, and I know you probably pay them well. They're supposed to have mold detectors. What the heck happened?
Okay.
That's what I want to know. What the heck happened?
We'll review this with the
Thank you
building
very
department.
much. I appreciate it because it's costing him a pretty penny. We are in talks with FHA and that, but this is ridiculous. And I want to make certain that other homeowners, new homeowners, are buying these properties. And this company stated at the closing, which I was at, that they purchased a lot of properties in this community. So my concern is that they're putting lipstick on a pig on all of these homes, selling them for over $100,000, and this could be very detrimental to the new homeowner's health. So this is problematic. I mean, I love Harper Woods. I don't live here, but I really like you guys. I love all your city services and that, but this is inexcusable because my son could have been really ill from this had I not insisted that he redo the kitchen. This is under their black mold. We even had to call Heather's office today to make sure that when her people come and pick this up, the things that's been removed, that they protect themselves from handling it.
Attorney DeWally, you want to respond? Yes. Ivory, would you pass me?
I can give these, I can
Would you
give you
pass
extra
me that
copy
back? Thank
if you
you.
like.
Yeah, I'm not gonna comment too much.
That's fine.
Because I don't know the full extent, but typically you, the building department does not do a home inspection
Well, they,
pursuant
I understand.
to any sales agreement.
No.
You have your own- You have your own personal
We do.
inspector go
We
through.
do,
And
okay,
that's a simple matter.
okay. I understand that, and I'm
Yeah,
pursuing
I'm
that.
not gonna discuss.
No.
That's it,
Okay, that's fine.
okay?
But had they just turned on water, it would have backed up on them, or flushed the toilet, it would have leaked.
Okay. All right, thank you. Heather?
Good evening, council. I'm Heather, as you all know. I just wanted to say thank you for your continued support of both our union members as well as myself. It is very appreciated, and we look forward to providing and striving to provide excellent service to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Yes.
Thank you, Council. My name is Dawn Drozd. I am the representative from the League of Women Voters who comes and observes the meetings. We were mentioning about the Gun Violence Day. I also wanted to invite all of you on Wednesday, May 17th in the evening at the Grosse Pointe Memorial Church. We're having a representative from Moms Demand Action coming and speaking at our annual meeting, and I think it's going to be really great to hear what they're doing and how we might be able to support those folks. I also, since Public Service Director is still here, I know you had mentioned that you guys were looking for a community mental health, like a mental health person to work in your department or with you guys. And I just was curious if you had made any progress with that. I think it's going to be a really important addition to your team. Okay, thank you for that update, and congratulations, Heather. That was my last thing, so thank you.
Anyone speaking, please address council, not the audience. Yes.
Good evening, John Shenburn, 19159 Ross Common. Been here since 1952. I've talked to Heather already, and congratulations, Heather. She always does a great job. She always knows what she's talking about, even though I'll argue with her once in a while about it, but she's very gracious. They came around and they cut up at the corner of Lansdowne a bunch of cement to redo it. Now, I have a picture of that cement that is practically brand new. And we should not be paying if it had to be redone, okay? And the amount of cement that they've done, and that's what was on the list or whatever, there's another one down Lansdowne, and I agree with that one because it's the sewer setup. But I have 2 patches about this wide, running down from Woodside to Roscommon and from Roscommon to Elkhart that need to be replaced. And I've talked to you about it several times. Now, your engineer, whoever it was for this, deemed it necessary to replace the cement. So how does that take over precedence that looks fine and could have waited over fixing Lansdowne? I just don't understand. They keep putting asphalt in it, cold patch, and during the winter that just makes it worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It needs to be cut up and it needs to be replaced.
Okay.
Lansdowne's not a federal project.
Okay.
We can't take money from there and move it around on a different street. That's a restriction that the federal government puts on us. We have that street, Beaconsfield, is funded with grant money, and all of those plans have to be approved by the state the way the state wants them, and that's what the state wants.
Okay, but I'm telling you right now, the cement didn't need to be replaced. And that's ridiculous. I got a picture if anybody wants to see it. It's ridiculous. We're replacing cement that doesn't need to. Of course, we got the grants, like you said, but we've got all the other stuff that's falling apart. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing none? All right. Yeah.
I just wanted to remind everybody this Saturday is a pancake breakfast for Kaiser, our
Yeah.
night,
Right.
from 8 to 12 at Redeemer United Methodist Church, which is on Mac and Hartford.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Is there anyone else? Great. Okay. Ms. Williams?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to comment that several of the council members and the mayor went to CapCon, which was a conference for elected city officials, and it was a very good conference. We got to meet people from all over the state. Our state rep, she came out. Also, we each attended different classes because we wanted to bring back different information for you. The governor came out and she spoke. So it was a very informational conference. I'm not sure if others have a more in-depth report. I have one, but I don't want to spend all night going through it. So I'm going to say mine next meeting. I'll give you a more in-depth report, because like I say, at least 5 of us attended. So we were very well represented from Harper Woods. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank everybody that came out for the the cleanup, we had a small crowd, but it was mighty. Most of council was there, and everybody did a great job. I want to thank Councilman Toussaint, who went above and beyond down on Vernier and the freeway and cleaned up down there. So the next event for the Beautification Commission is, put this on your calendar, it'll be the Spring Perennial Plant Exchange. It's May 20th from 10 to 12. And so you bring your perennials, leave them, and take other people's perennials. Be held at Salter Park. And just a quick note on that MML conference, it was eye-opening, really learning experience. The one thing I kind of took away was when we were sitting with people from all over the state, is we'd have a conversation with other commissioners or council people, and it kind of all came back to how are you taking care of the speeding problem in your city? And it didn't matter if they were from a little town on the west side of Michigan or a large town like Dearborn. Everybody, how are you going to take care of your speeding problem? And it was, it's a problem.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Madam Mayor, I really don't have much else to say, except that I'm hoping that all of you who have gone might submit something, you know, in typing it up, send it to Leslie, and then maybe she could send it around, you know, put it on our next minutes or something. I think that would be very useful, because I'd love to hear some of the stuff that you learned. Thank you.
So speaking of the CAPCON conference for elected officials, I really enjoyed it quite a bit. You know, it's so interesting to get an idea from all of your peers and hearing about that. In fact, one of the things that, in response to Councilwoman Sawicki, I tended to want about pensions. And there's grant funds out there available if you got to be up to at least 60% of your pension, whatever information has to be, and there's grant. If you're not there, there's grant. And I want to dash back and make sure John was on it, and found out he had already had all his paperwork in for that. So that was another way those meetings were really good. But one thing I really enjoyed the most, from a personal standpoint, is for Mayor Kendall and I both received awards at the conference. There's an Elected Officials Academy, where if you complete certain requirements, there's 4 levels, level 1, 2, 3, which really found out there was a 4. And I received mine. I meant to bring my wonderful certificate. I can't believe I forgot it, because I was all in my mind to show up and brag about it. And I received mine for level 1, and Mayor Kendall received hers for our level 3. So it was so we were well represented from Harper Woods as far as receiving awards at that time. So that was really good. Also, the Earth Day, thank you for the compliment, Councilwoman LaPratt, about going out there. I think I over there on Mac on Vernier and Harper, I think I must have picked up at least 200 plus cigarette butts. So, you know, they're not that biodegradable. So I hope it made it look a whole lot better. And many people came up by and said, thank you for doing that, thank you for doing that, thank you for doing that, because that visible area there. And also, since I want to bring it up one more time, that since it was over, you know, since I was misquoted on the minutes, as far as my support of the trip, the mayor took to Washington, D.C., that I was not in support of it. First time is forgiveness, second time is I just don't support that at all. And I wanted to make sure if it's not corrected in the minutes, that it's at least put it in the comments to the audience from the council that we're not following protocol. I don't support that. You know, the first time is forgiveness, like I said, the second time, no. And I think that if you have followed protocol, you would have gotten approved for it anyway. So I don't understand why it wasn't.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that note was made of that.
I'm going to explain it to both of you in just a minute.
I understand. All right, yeah, CAPCON. We got so much information. I kind of had to pick some areas to focus, so I focused on transportation and housing, just so I knew we, you know, got all the information possible. Transportation, there's a lot of money right now available for transportation, and there's the program RAISE, Rebuilding America with Sustainability and Equity. There's a lot of money out there for that. And kind of the future of mobility is changing. And right now, there's a lot of money, but next year, all this money is going to dry up because we're using up, the state is using up all the rest of the funds that came in from the ARPA grants, and they're using up their whole budget, including their rainy day fund, with this year's budget. So while it looks good this year, like we're going to get a 10% increase in our state revenue sharing, they're actually taking that away from us in the future on the back end. So after a few years, we're actually going to be kind of at a loss on it, if you do the math. But this year is the year, if you're going to go after grants or something, we should do it, because it's not going to really be available next year in the future. But when it comes to housing, apparently there's a big housing crisis in a lot of places. But Michigan, someone had asked, why do we have a housing crisis in Michigan when everybody's packed up and moved to Florida or moved to the other states? And so they wanted to answer, why do we still have this housing crisis? And answer number one, the builders, it's too expensive to build right now. The cost of a brand new house for, since building materials have increased and wages have increased, is $350,000 just for an average 3-bedroom house. So it's kind of, like I said, very expensive to build.
Okay.
A lot of the builders like Pulte and the big names, they've packed up and left Michigan, or maybe they have a little small group in Michigan, but they're all big in Florida, Texas, everywhere else. The number of houses built last year, or maybe this was for 2021, it was quite a bit less than the number of houses that were torn down. So that's a big problem. So now they're finally catching on, and they're not just having grants for building new houses, but they're having grants for rehabbing old houses. So that should supply some housing for people. Another problem is fewer people are living in houses now, where, in the old days you might have 4, 6, 10 people, whatever, living in a house. Nowadays, a lot of houses are just 1 or 2 people. But the opposite is true for apartments. There's an increase in people moving in apartments. Where there used to be 1 or 2 people living in an apartment, now it's not unusual to find 4 or more people living in an apartment. A big problem that was created by the government was short-term rentals. They made it so easy to have short-term rentals that big corporations stopped building hotels and they started buying up all the houses on the water. This problem happened in Benton Harbor, where hardly anybody that owns houses in Benton Harbor actually lives there anymore. And big corporations own all the houses and they rent them out as Airbnb or, VRBO, whatever. And then they said, believe it or not, there's a problem with a lot of people having second homes. So they didn't really clarify whether to say, people that live downstate have a house upstate, because I don't think that changed much. I think a lot of people have always done that. I think, in my theory, is that people who are moving to Florida or wherever for the tax advantages are still keeping a house in Michigan. Therefore, that house can't be sold to a family or whatever because somebody owns it and they maybe come up and visit in the summer or whatever. So these are some reasons why we have a lack of housing. Their plan is to introduce 50 to 75,000 more housing units over the next 5 years to help relieve that problem. So hopefully that'll happen.
Okay. All right. Just following Councilwoman Sawicki's suggestion is that, we write up our reports and submit that in form so that Mrs. Franks can add that to our next council package, since it was so many of us that had gone to this conference, I think it would behoove us to have a written, you don't have to make a dissertation, but give us an outlook on what you did do. So we'll look forward to that to be in written form, not for her to retype or anything. It should be typed up and ready to be submitted. All right? So, goal setting results.
I haven't received anybody's goal setting except one.
Right.
Is anybody else gonna?
Did everybody forget? So we also need for the next council meeting to have the goal setting results of what we talked about during the goal setting meeting. So if everyone could get that report also, so that we will be able to put that on the website along with the council package, so the citizens would know what we're talking about and what goals we are setting for our community. Yes. Also, I want to bring to your attention that I'm looking forward to us to decide on when we're going to rename the DPW building for William Bill Snyder. So we should have a date and time set probably by the next meeting. We will know. I don't want his family to think that we have forgotten, because we could never forget Bill, and especially when we were out there doing the planting. It's just, you saw him and Sue out there planting all times, so I just want to make sure that we don't drop the ball and we go ahead and do this, naming that. I want to thank our labor attorney for all his hard work with John to bring forth these negotiations. Being a former labor person, negotiations are never easy. And so it's taken a lot of time, and I appreciate you, and my condolences to you also. So you just lost his sister. And so he taken his time to come here just in case there were any questions. So I appreciate you. And Ken, thank you so very much. And as I said, we send our condolences to you and your family.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to work for the city of Harper Woods. And it's especially a pleasure now to put a few things in place over time that are permitting us to do more to recruit and retain our employees. And I think we're beginning to see the results. We have a very effective DPW department. And you can't say enough good things about the performance of the police department, the patrol officers. We're very pleased to be able to make that kind of contract with them.
Thank you, thank you. Since you have brought this up a couple of times, Councilman Toussaint, I'm going to reiterate something that has been not quite brought out. When Councilwoman Constantino suggested that I get permission before I go on a conference, I was a council person at that time, and her suggestion was a suggestion to another colleague as opposed to a mandate. She cannot, nor can anyone else mandate that anything is done without without a resolution or a motion. So even though you said that, that was not something I necessarily had to adhere to, and at that time, I was a council person. But I discussed that with Ken Pointer, who was the mayor at the time, and he said, don't worry about it, just do what you've been doing. But even with saying that, you keep bringing up stuff to say that if I was doing something illegal or circumventing the reimbursement policies that we have already have been established for years. There's no change. There was no change. But for you to insinuate that you put me on the level of being unscrupulous, illegal, is very disheartening and disrespectful. And not only saying that, I'm saying that you don't understand what my networking has done to bring monies back into this city. If there's one thing that you can point to that you have brought back to the city monetarily, I would love to hear it. But for you to malign me and say that you equated me with people that have been charged with crimes is disrespectful. And I resent it to the utmost for you to sit there and to say those things because that was not necessary. And if you really wanted to know, you could have asked me ahead of time instead of getting out here in front of the public and embarrassing me as along with the rest of our colleagues as if we do things underhandedly. I'm bringing it forward to you today to say that I'm disappointed in the both of you because you all have traveled questionably on several occasions and you were not admonished in front of the public as you all did to me last council meeting. So I'm going to put this to rest, but in the future, you don't dictate to me as mayor what I do and where I go. That's not, I'm talking now, Cheryl. That is not your job. And I would like to see what you brought. You've been on the city council umpteen years. What have you brought back to the community? Just in that short time of going to Washington, D.C., we were able to accomplish over $500,000 worth of revenue back for our community. That's not to mention the other things that have come from my involvement in making sure that we're at the table. Because I learned from a long time ago that if you're not at the table, you're generally the meal. And so I've made it my business to make sure that Harper Woods is at the table of any place or anywhere that somebody's giving away some money. Even when I first began here, it was my involvement with DTE that brought us LED lighting. No. But for you to question my integrity, that is way out of bounds. And I have never given you, either of you, any reason to believe that I have done something unscrupulous. And for you to keep bringing it up.
It was only brought up.
I'm talking now. I am, no. I'm talking right now, Mr. Toussaint. It was a minimal mistake, which you could have discussed with her without bringing it out here like she was doing something improper. We have worked together here as council people with a civility that is not always recognized in other areas. But we have seemed to have worked together respectfully to each other all along. And for you to single out something like that was disrespectful. So I'm just putting you on notice to let you know I didn't appreciate it. And I've heard from residents and other people that viewed that felt the same way. So hopefully we can continue to work respectfully of each other. But I do think that was really a cheap shot from both of you. And I need an adjournment.
Madam Mayor,
No.
I think we deserve a chance to respond. because
No,
when
you,
said
I
it
didn't
was
deserve a response.
Not true, I never said you did anything illegal.
Yes, you did.
That did not come from me.
Yes, you
No.
agreed with it.
No, it didn't.
You agreed to it. So I'm not going to get into a shouting match
And I
or,
have never
and,
been
Mayor,
and,
I'll offer the
I-
resolution to, or whatever, adjourn.
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
It's gonna drag out. We didn't get to say what we have to say.